Hello everyone, and thank you for following along with a new Burda style video. Today we want to present model 3A from the cover of our #1 January-February 2022 issue of Burda Easy. The fabric is 100% organic cotton. You can find it on the website of our partner C Poly, the specialist for GOTS certified fabric. Dresses with a wrap effect are always worthwhile. They are timeless and never out of fashion. And they are a great way to emphasize any figure. Very trendy gathered sleeves and an elastic waistband for maximum comfort are the charming features of this quick and easy to sew dress. You will need thread that matches your fabric, interfacing, elastic, straight pins, a sewing machine needle, a hand sewing needle, basting thread, fabric scissors, a tape measure, tailor's chalk or a pencil, a ballpoint pen, a ruler, a tracing wheel, and Burda-style tracing paper. Be sure to take your measurements properly and compare them with the table in your magazine. Based on these measurements, you can determine which Burda size will fit you perfectly. Now cut or copy pieces 1 and 6 from pattern sheet 3 and place them on the fabric in accordance with the layout. Transfer the outlines of the pattern pieces and add the seam and hem allowances that are listed in the instructions. Then add the lines and notches. To copy the notches and seam lines to the opposite side of the fabric, I use a tracing wheel and Burda-style tracing paper. Before removing the pins from my pattern pieces, I carefully position the paper underneath the fabric and roll the tracing wheel along the pattern piece and the markings. For further details, see the instructions for your tracing paper. Cut out pieces 3 and 4 from the interfacing and iron them onto the wrong side of the fabric. I'm using the Excellence 580 Plus sewing machine from Elna, and to neaten the edges, the Elna Extend 864 Air Overlock machine. I start at the darts on the bust. I fold the front piece right sides together so that the dart lines meet on each side. I pin the darts and stitch to the point at the end. I leave the threads at the point long in order to knot them, and then press the darts downward. Second step, the shoulder seams. I neaten the shoulder allowances on the front and back pieces, and then I pin the front pieces to the back pieces right sides together. Seam 1. I repeat with the front and back facings. Seam 2. I stitch the shoulder seams of the dress and then stitch the facing shoulders. Next, I press all the seams apart. I neaten the outer facing edge. Step 3, the neckline. I place the facing on the neckline of the dress right sides together, making sure that the shoulder seams match. I pin them and then stitch them to the neckline. Now I trim the allowances and clip the curves close to the stitching. I turn the facing to the inside, press the seam, and fasten the facing to the shoulder seams with a few stitches by hand. Step 4, the side seams. I neaten the side edges of the back piece and front piece and repeat on the side edges of the skirt. I place the front right piece on the back front piece, making sure that the center front line and the marked joining lines meet at the lower edge. I pin the overlapping edges together and stitch them 1 centimeter or 3/8 of an inch from the edge. You can also baste the edges if you would like to. I place the side edges of the front and back piece right sides together and pin. I stitch them together, seam 3, and press the seams apart. Next, I place the 2 skirt pieces right sides together, pin the side edges, stitch and then press the seams apart. Step 5, stitching the skirt to the top. I pull the top into the skirt, right sides together, making sure that the side seams meet, and pin the edges together. I neaten the allowances together and press them into the top. I top stitch the seam from the right side 1 centimeter or 3/8 of an inch from the edge. The seam allowance is caught in the seam and will later be used as the casing. In the side seam, I leave an opening to pull through the elastic. I fasten a safety pin to one end of the elastic and pull the safety pin and elastic through the casing in the side seam. I use the safety pin to fasten the ends of the elastic together. Now try on the dress and adjust the length if necessary. I also make sure that the elastic is not twisted, and then I stitch the ends of the elastic together. You can also sew them by hand. I close the opening in the seam by backstitching about 1 centimeter or 3/8 of an inch along the seam. Step 6. The sleeves. To gather the sleeve heads, I top stitch 2 parallel lines. One is approximately 1.2 centimeters or 1/2 of an inch from the edge, and the other is 5 millimeters or 1/4 of an inch from the first line. I increase the stitch length to about 4 millimeters or 1/4 of an inch and stitch between the notches of the sleeve head. I leave the threads long at the end of the seams, but I do not tension them yet. I knit in the lower piece and the side edges of the sleeves, and then I fold them in half lengthwise, right sides together. I pin the sleeve seam allowance, stitch seam 4, and then press the seams apart. I pull the sleeve into the armhole right sides together and pin. When I do this, I make sure that it matches up between the side seam and the sleeve seam, notch 5 on the front piece and the sleeve, and the notch on the sleeve head and shoulder seam. Now I pull in the 2 threads, pushing the fabric together until the sleeve fits into the armhole. I stitch the edges together, neaten the allowances together, and press the seam into the sleeve. Last step, the hem and sleeve ends. I neaten the lower edge of the dress. Next, I fold and press the hem and sleeve ends 1.5 centimeters or 5/8 of an inch to the inside, pin them, and stitch 1 centimeter or 3/8 of an inch from the fold. Finished! We've just completed another model. And to keep things varied, you can change the length and the fabric, making it thicker, flowing, or casually chic. This dress will work with any style. In another video, we can follow along with a tutorial for Model 2A from this magazine. As always, we'd like you to share your creations with us and exchange with the DIY community on our social networks. I look forward to seeing you in the near future when I demonstrate the new model. Burda Style says thank you and recommends its partner Elna and C. Polly. Thank you for following us and see you soon with new Burda Style tutorials.